Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our Dracula read-along. I am your host, Monica Van Fleet. I am an independent writer and researcher based out of Philadelphia. Chapter 5 of Dracula opens with a letter from Mina Murray to Lucy and Westenra, dated May 9th. Mina apologizes for the delay in writing to Lucy, saying that the life of an assistant schoolmistress is busy, but she longs to be with Lucy by the sea, building castles in the air. She says that she wants to keep up with Jonathan by learning shorthand well enough that she can write out what Jonathan says and type it up for him. She also tells Lucy that Jonathan is keeping a shorthand journal of his travels, and so she's going to try to do the same, and she is going to be like a lady journalist and write out what she sees. She gives Lucy an update on Jonathan's travels and says that she'll tell Lucy more about it when they are together. She also asks Lucy for an update on a certain curly-haired suitor. The next letter we get is from Lucy to Mina. Lucy says that Mina is taxing her greatly with not providing her enough letters. She says that town is currently pleasant and that they've been spending their time walking and visiting museums and going for rides in the park. She says that the curly-haired suitor is Mr. Holmwood, and she notes that Mr. Holmwood and Mama get along well. Lucy is being a little bit coy here, which we will find out very soon. We also learned that Mr. Holmwood introduced Lucy to Dr. Seward, and Lucy says that Dr. Seward would be a great match for Mina if she weren't engaged already. She says that someone must be telling tales. Lucy talks about Dr. Seward as if he almost has mesmeric powers. Lucy is expressing curiosity with the emerging profession of psychiatry. Dr. Seward is a psychiatrist, and at only 29 years old is in charge of his own mental institution. Lucy says that she thinks that she is a tough nut for him to crack, though, and that she's been trying to read her own face. She also notes that she doesn't care enough about fashion, and mentions that Mina and Lucy have known each other since childhood. One has to wonder about this because Lucy and Mina have known each other since school. This must insinuate that Mina and Lucy attended the same school, and now Mina is an assistant teacher. This insinuates that Mina's position in life must have changed at some point from her childhood. At this point in the letter, Lucy confesses that she does have a suitor that she is in love with, and she exclaims her love 3 times. And she says that it's Arthur Holmwood who she's in love with. She says that he hasn't told her that he loves her, but she suspects that he does and asks Mina to pray for her happiness, and also tells Mina, of course, that this is a secret. The next letter we get is from Lucy to Mina on May 24th. Lucy says that when it rains, it pours, because she will be 20 in September and she has not received a single proposal. And now she's received 3 in one day. She says she feels bad that she can't marry them all, and thinks that it's lucky for girls like them who are now engaged that they can despise vanity. Lucy tells Mina to not tell anyone except, of course, Jonathan, because Lucy believes that a woman ought to tell her husband everything. Lucy says proposal number 1 came just before lunch, and it was Dr. Seward. She describes him as having a strong jaw, a good forehead. She says that he was nervous, but he's trying to play it cool. She says he almost sits on a hat, and that when he's being nervous, he plays with a lancet. When he starts talking about how he cares for her, she starts to cry. Dr. Seward says that he is not a brute, so if he is the source of her troubles, he wants to know. And Dr. Seward asks Lucy if she could come to love him in time, or if there is someone else, and that he just wants to know if he has a chance. She says that there is someone else, and Dr. Seward goes off with a broken heart. But then Arthur comes to visit and she feels better, and she continues writing about the other proposals. Lucy says that proposal 2 comes just after lunch, and it's this fellow from America, Quincy Morris. Lucy mentions Desdemona, which is a reference to Othello. She says that this American man is named Quincy Morris and that he is an adventurer. She mentions how Mr. Morris loves to tell stories. She says that Mr. Morris doesn't always speak in slang and that he actually is very educated, but that he must be making part of his stories up just to make her laugh, and that he only does this when they're alone. She said that he looked quite jolly, but she could tell that he was nervous, and he says that he isn't good enough for her, but nobody is, and asks her to marry him by saying, "Won't you hitch up with me driving double harness?" Then he says that he hopes he wasn't joking too much because he was being serious after Lucy quips that she isn't broken for a double harness. Then Quincy asks if there is someone else, and she says that there is, and Quincy pledges friendship. when Lucy begins to cry, he tells Lucy to not cry, and he asks her for a kiss, which she gives. Lucy asks Mina if she even needs to say who proposal number 3 was, and that the event was over so fast she almost didn't realize it, but she's so happy to God for giving her such a lover, a husband, and a friend. And of course, proposal number 3 was our own Mr. Arthur Holmwood. One thing I like to note in the character differences of how Lucy is portrayed on screen in film versus how Lucy is portrayed in the book is that while Lucy is girlish, she's also incredibly kind and tender-hearted. She's adept at navigating social situations. She has 3 men propose to her in the same day, and she manages all of their feelings without causing any sort of scandal. So while the gentlemen's feelings are hurt, their egos escape intact, and Lucy comes out of the entire situation with what she wants, but also with the affection of all of these gallant men intact. I think it's easier in film to portray her for a modern audience just as a flirt, but what we're seeing is really Lucy navigating the social dynamics of the day in really an ingenious way. On page 67 of the Norton Critical Edition, we have an entry from Dr. Seward's diary, which is kept in phonograph. It's dated April 25th, but this appears to be some sort of a mistake because Dr. Seward mentions the rebuffed proposal of the day before. In his entry, Dr. Seward says that he hasn't been eating or sleeping well, and that he's just been feeling empty since the rebuff of his proposal yesterday. He knows that work is the cure, and he selects a new patient to focus his attentions on. The lucky patient is one R.M. Renfield, 59, who we will hear much about soon. The chapter ends with a series of letters and telegrams between Quincey Morris and Arthur Holmwood. They discuss their plans to get together to congratulate Arthur Holmwood on his engagement and to commiserate with Quincey and Jack Seward over their love of Lucy. And that is the end of chapter 5. In this week's Substack Deep Dive, we are going to talk about the deleted character, Kate Reed. And next week in chapter 6, we move on to the lovely seaside village of Whitby.